Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. So we have finally made it to the Disney Renaissance, and we're kicking things off with my review for The Little Mermaid, which came out in 1989, is directed by John Musker and Ron Clements, and as I said, is the first movie of the Renaissance era, aka my generation of Disney movies. The movie is based off the Hans Christian Andersen story of the same name, although I imagine it's not as faithful as one would think, considering that this is a Disney adaptation. But it follows a young mermaid named Ariel, who is the daughter of King Triton, the youngest daughter at that, and she has a fascination with the human world. She is so curious about how it functions, and then she sees Prince Eric and starts to fawn over him, much to the disapproval of her father, who has a very deep-seated hatred for humans. So the two of them have a falling out, but Ariel makes a deal with the sea witch Ursula. So Ursula gives Ariel human legs in exchange for her voice, and she only has 3 days to fall in love with Eric and stay a human forever. So this movie has a very interesting history for me, because I owned it on VHS. It was actually the only Disney Renaissance movie I owned on VHS as a kid. You know, that very iconic VHS cover where one of the, you know, everyone's made that joke before, you know what I'm going for. But anyway, I've seen this movie a handful of times growing up. I remember liking it quite a bit, and then when I got older, I just kind of fell off with it. And not because it shouldn't appeal to me at all, but there were a lot of problems with that movie that people were pointing out. Probably the most famous example is Lindsay Ellis's critique on The Little Mermaid and why Ariel is not that good of a character. And I didn't have much of a desire to revisit that movie, especially considering that I was more of a Pixar guy when I got older. It took me a while to actually get back into the official Disney canon of animated movies. And then I rewatched this movie on its 30th anniversary 2 years ago, and my tune has kind of fallen back into how I originally felt about this movie. Maybe more so, because this is truly one of the great Disney movies out there. It's not one of my personal favorites. I mean, if you see my list for my top 100 favorite movies, you know what my favorite Disney films are. But out of all the Renaissance films, this is my fourth favorite, which, I mean, there are 4 movies that everyone goes to as their favorite, but out of the top 4 Renaissance films, this is my least favorite. But again, that's not to say that it's bad at all. When this movie opens with the very first shot, you can tell we've entered a new era of Disney animation, and it is a gorgeous film to watch. The animation is smooth, it's clean, it takes the expensive look of the Black Cauldron and just shines it up even further and perfects it to how we view Disney animation nowadays, at least, again, for my generation. And another thing that helps enhance this movie is the songs. I would dare say that this is probably the first official Disney musical, because a lot of the other Disney movies have had great songs as well, some iconic songs, but the songs in the previous Disney movies were never presented in that Broadway type of manner the way the Little Mermaid songs are presented. And having the combination of Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, you couldn't have a more perfect combination in terms of a songwriting team. These two wrote some of the most iconic Disney songs ever, and I don't think anybody has ever come close to reaching the heights of Menken and Ashman. That was until Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez with Frozen, because every single song in The Little Mermaid is iconic. Some might be more iconic than others, but you still remember them all. The 4 most iconic songs in the movie are Under the Sea, which won the Oscar for Best Original Song, Part of Your World, which almost got cut from the film by Jeffrey Katzenberg, until the rest of the production crew convinced him to let them finish the movie and keep that song in. Poor Unfortunate Souls, which might actually be the first great Disney villain song, and Kiss the Girl, which is, again, another great song. Part of Your World is the first of those 4 songs to appear in the movie, and even though it didn't get nominated for an Oscar, I would say it's right up there with Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz. In fact, the creative team actually used Over the Rainbow as an example to convince Katzenberg to keep the song. And it worked. It is very much like Over the Rainbow, where it's very quiet, subtle, and is very important to the main character of the film. Under the Sea is a blast of a song. Poor Unfortunate Souls is deliciously evil, and there's something very nice and atmospheric about Kiss the Girl. And just the animation choreography with all these songs is incredible. All the characters, much like the songs, are memorable, even if some of them might be less interesting than others. I mean, I'm gonna get this right off the bat. I think Eric is probably the most boring character in this movie. But even then, he's still a massive step up from every other Disney prince that has come before him. It's just, all the other characters are more memorable. You have Scuttle, voiced by Buddy Hackett, Kenneth Mars as King Triton, Jason Marin as Flounder. My favorite of the side characters is Samuel E. Wright, who voices Sebastian, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, so rest in peace. But Sebastian might be my favorite character of this movie because he's a mix of overconfident, cowardly, but he's very theatrical and very entertaining. And then of course you have your main heroine and your main villain. I want to talk about Ursula first. When I reviewed The Rescuers a couple weeks back, I mentioned that Madame Medusa walked so Ursula could run. And oh boy, does Ursula run in this movie, because she is very sadistic, she's creepy, she's just a fun villain overall. She's very over the top and theatrical, and she has some really great lines. My favorite is probably when her two eels, Flotsam and Jetsam, are killed and they explode. Babies! My poor little poopsies. Like, it's such a funny delivery and a funny line. But when you get to the end of the movie and Ursula just grows into this giant creature, almost like something you'd see out of Ray Harryhausen, she's terrifying. Like, that is a great Disney villain right there. And Pat Carroll's voice performance along with the animation makes this character who she is. Now I want to talk about Ariel for a second, because this is a very controversial character amongst Disney fans. Some people either love Ariel or think she's the absolute worst Disney princess out there. And the people that have criticized Ariel, I get where they're coming from, because I watched Ariel and a lot of the points people bring up on how she's whiny, she doesn't really evolve at all, they make some very good points that are hard to argue, but I'm going to argue in Ariel's defense. When I watch this movie, there's a lot about Ariel that just seems very innocent. She's wide-eyed, she's curious, she's adventurous, and she has a fantastic personality. I think she's a lot of fun, she's very kind. I mean, she's a child when you think about it. Yes, I know she has the line where she says, "I'm 16 years old, I'm not a child." But sorry, Ariel, you're 16 years old, you're still technically a child. Although maybe the rules are different down there for mermaids. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Anyway, I can kind of defend her in the sense that she doesn't do anything that's harmful, and I don't see her as a terrible role model at all. I mean, it is true that by the end of the movie, she gets what she wants and doesn't really earn it in a sense. But I feel like there's a lot that makes me look past those problems. With Ariel's personality and her wide-eyed curiousness, Jodi Benson's voice work, and Glenn Keane's animation, Ariel really does stick out to me as one of the great Disney princesses. And again, much like with Eric, she is 10 times better than all the Disney princesses that have come before her. Even as much as I like Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, Ariel's just much more interesting and has more going for her. Now, I do feel like there's a missing element of this movie that probably could have enhanced Ariel, and that would be the relationship that she has with her father, King Triton. I feel like there's a lot with King Triton that you could develop as a character. We don't really have a reason why he has this deep-seated hatred for humans. I mean, the best that we can assume is that his wife was murdered by humans, and so he just hates all humans because of that, because he's very protective towards Ariel about going to the surface. He's trying to do what he thinks is the best for her. And I feel like there could have been a lot more explored with this aspect. Not just to develop King Triton even further, but to have a really great father and daughter relationship. I mean, we got the live-action remake coming out, which I hate this trend, but if they could actually do like what Guy Ritchie did with Aladdin and build upon certain aspects rather than just do a copy and paste remake, then I'll give the movie points for that. So we'll see what happens. But as for this 1989 classic, it is a classic. It brought Disney into a brand new age of animation. It kicked off an entire generation of new Disney fans, including myself. And it's just iconic overall. There's no better way to describe The Little Mermaid. I can't quite go as far as to say get off your ass and see it right now, but it is hands down worth seeing in your lifetime. It's got beautiful animation, iconic songs, great characters. It moves at a breakneck pace, and it's just very, very entertaining all around. And you know, when I said it's not one of my favorite Disney movies, I said that within context of my top 100 list. I actually checked my Letterboxd account recently after rewatching The Little Mermaid, and this movie is honestly in my top 10. I think it's that great of a Disney movie, and just a great movie overall. And there you go, that's my review for The Little Mermaid, the first film in Disney's Renaissance. Next week we're going to be taking a look at their second movie, and the very first sequel that Disney ever made, The Rescuers Down Under. I wonder how many of you all thought I was going to say Beauty and the Beast, because, you know, people would probably say, oh, Beauty and the Beast is after Little Mermaid, right? Nope, it's this, Rescuers Down Under. I've never seen this before, so this is going to be interesting. A lot of people have told me that this is a really great animated Disney movie and a sequel that's better than the original, so I can't wait for this one. But now I want to know what you guys think about The Little Mermaid. If you've seen it, what did you think? Where do you stand in terms of Ariel as a Disney princess? Do you think she's one of the best or one of the worst? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hey everyone, I just want to say thank you all for watching my review for The Little Mermaid. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.